You're listening to KPFT Houston, 90.1 on the dial. If you're down in Galveston, pick us up at 89.5, and our friends up in the Piney Woods, 91.9. We are Pacifica Network Radio, and you are listening to Songwriter Studio. I'm your host, Tom Tranchilla, along with my buddy Lloyd Daniel behind the glass, doing his magic every week. Thank you so much, Lloyd, here at the Songbrush Studios for taking care of us. I'm pleased to bring back to the studio Vanessa Lively. Vanessa, it's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yeah, it has been. I'm excited to be back.
You had mentioned this is your third time on Songwriter Studio.
Correct.
We've been on the air for 15 years now, and I don't know how long ago your first trip to the studio was, but it's been a long time.
I think it was back in 2000, maybe 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there.
Long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
You brought Natalie Price in the studios with you. How you doing, Natalie?
Hi, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. Welcome to Songwriter Studio.
Thank you.
Vanessa, last time you were on the show, we did a phone interview out of Austin. Both you ladies reside in Austin. You were at the Kerrville Festival, and we had mentioned it was just flat hot.
Terribly
so we're
hot.
all back home. Y'all are on tour. You're kicking off the tour here in Houston, Texas. You'll be playing J.P. Hop's house tonight.
Yep.
Just to give the listening audience know, by the time this airs, you will have completed the gig and moved on. So where are you headed on this tour?
Let's see. We're going to the Panorama Music House in Lake Charles tomorrow. And then we'll be in New Orleans at Neutral Ground. And then we are heading to, what's our next city?
Key Mexico and Shreveport.
In Shreveport. And so this is a really short, quick outing. And so then we will head home after that, back to Austin. And then about a week later, I will head on the road for about 3 weeks.
A little bit more extended tour.
A little more extended, yeah.
You both have brand new albums out. I reviewed them both the other day. They're both excellent.
Thank you.
My compliments. Vanessa, yours is Truth Is. Natalie, Through the Fog. One is a full-length album. Natalie, yours is a 5-track EP. We're going to be selecting tracks off both these albums, plus a couple of extra selections that you had sent us in MP3 form, separate from Through the Fog. Let's get started. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about your history, but I want to jump right into the music. And we've got Truth Is, I Am Found. Now, I assume this is the title track.
It is,
right,
yeah.
Vanessa?
Correct.
Let's listen to that track right now. This is an excellent track off the brand new album, Truth Is. This is the title track, Truth Is, I Am Found. Vanessa Lively.
I come here alone and unguarded. The walls come down as I leave behind my lair. Casing falls, outpours my joy with the ceiling of stars. Oh, let the earth and grass be my hair. My past is the grain in this sober town with so many lies. Truth is I am found. I'm sorry, I'm drunk on love. Well, there is honesty between the pleas. There it was, that tug on my heart. I'm beneath them again. But now I'm the paper, he's the tree. My past is the grain in this sober town with so many lies. Truth is I am found. Mm-hmm. 'Cause 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 'c with so many lies. Truth is I am found.
Truth is, I am found. Brand new music, Vanessa Lively. Vanessa, great cello work by Durgy Childs, and I really like the cajon, Mark Hallman. You brought those in for the project, and they played on numerous tracks too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Deirdre is one of the first people I reached out to when I was headed into the studio and planning everything. I knew I was going to go spend a weekend out at Blue Rock and try to just get as much tracked in that weekend. And I always love having cello on as much as I can bring cello in. It's just such a heart-centric, emotional instrument. And I felt like these songs were specifically very heart-centric and emotional. So it felt like another melodic voice to add. And Deirdre's one of my favorite humans on the planet. And she calls herself the Grateful Cellist. And she does work with people that are in the hospital. And I just find her music to feel healing. And I wanted that. I wanted her by my side during the recording of this, and also her music to be all over the record.
Cello always works so well with acoustic guitars, and it gives you a calming effect, which I've always admired and loved. Just prior to this, you'd sent me a while back an EP, I Am. And I noticed the opening track for this, I Am Found. Is there any relation?
Well, I mean, the last
two?
few years of my life has been a lot of almost like redefining and rediscovering myself in the wake of, motherhood and finding my way through what were pretty trying years of early years of motherhood. Jeremiah, my oldest son, who's now 8, was born with clubfoot. And so it was instantly, we were in, doctor's offices every single week. And he was in casts and braces, and this lasted for years. It was really difficult, and he didn't sleep much, and he had trouble eating. So, it was a rough entry into motherhood for me, and I had these visions of doing music and having my child with me everywhere, and I canceled my tours. I scheduled and canceled 3 tours to Europe. I had a hard time getting back into it, and now I've been on a pretty long pause. And I Am those were the songs that I came out with when I was starting to write again and not just singing lullabies for years. I was moving back into songwriting. And so that was my re-entry, I guess.
Sometimes going through traumatic periods like that actually inspires you to write again. So
yeah.
And judging by the quality of the new record, it did that and did it very well for you. We're going to move on to Natalie Price's new project, which is soon to be released. You've got a brand new long play CD coming out, and plus the EP you brought into the studio today, which is already released. Butterfly. This is on the upcoming new album. Is that correct?
It's actually a special one-off, just produced in Austin with the Austin Music Foundation, a nonprofit in town that's done a special compilation album.
Tell us a little bit about the foundation.
Austin Music Foundation is a really beautiful organization that exists to help pool resources and connect artists with information and resources about how to advance their careers, how to become better artists. And I was one of the artist development program participants this year, and they select 5 artists, and they bring each of us into the studio and produce 2 of our songs to put on this compilation album that they will be releasing on vinyl. So there's 10 songs from these 5 artists in town, and so I contributed 2. One track is Butterfly, and one track is Tell Me.
Well, let's listen to Butterfly right now. Brand new music, Natalie Price.
Butterfly, shriveled wings, trying to stretch into the spring, clinging to the tree in light, shadows left behind, waiting for the strength to fly. Broken world, fallen dreams, danger fly
such hope. A misread meaning, love exposed. So used to the darkness, how to navigate the light. Failure is fatal in flight. So used to the darkness, how to navigate the light. Failure is fatal in flight. Failure is
From the compilation ATX Gen Next Adventures in Person. Beautiful song.
Thank you.
Natalie Price. And Natalie, we talked while the song was playing. It's got a little bit of a bell sound style to it. Andre and Noel have been guests on this show numerous times over the years. Killer musicians, songwriters, and just overall great people.
Wonderful people. I love them so much.
Next time you talk to them, tell them they're overdue to get back on Songwriter Studio.
I'll let them know.
Great job, and whoever did the recording on this is just stellar, crystal clear.
Thank you. We recorded in Bubble Studios, Frenchie Smith, Brendan Sanders, and Einar Peterson and Johnny Gowdy. We were all in the studio together to put this together.
You played these tracks live?
Like, have I played this song live?
Yes.
I have not.
No, I mean, did you record it live in the studio, or did
No,
okay.
we tracked different elements of it.
That's what I assumed. It was a little too complex to do live. Vanessa, let's talk about the next song we've got queued up, Crumbling Down. Could you give the listening audience a little heads up on this track?
Yeah, this is a song that I wrote, I think it was in 2018. I actually wrote it at the Kerrville Folk Festival. I went to their song school, and John Smith was one of the instructors. I think there, that year might have also been Eliza Gilkison, Mary Gaucher, Ellis Delaney. Like, these have all been the instructors that I've studied under at that song school, which is excellent, right?
All-star cast.
All-star cast. It was insane. But John Smith had this stream of consciousness right that was, he said, okay, everyone take out your pen and paper, and I'm just going to set the timer, and you just write, you don't stop. And so we all did it. And then he said, now turn to the person, he just gave us pairs and said, turn to the person to your right, or whatever, so I look over to my right and said, okay, now you're going to read it to them. And I was like, what? No way. And I did not want to read my stream of consciousness out loud. I didn't know that was part of it. I felt very uncomfortable. And I read it, and I was crying, and it was very emotional, and because mine was very raw. And it was well received on the other end, with compassion, even though I felt really guarded with this. And fast forward, the practice was we had to take that home. They circled phrases that jumped out at them. We had to take that sheet home with us that night to our tent at the Kerrville Folk Festival, come back the next morning with a song written. And so I wrote Crumbling Down in a tent in the few hours that I had between the dinner and early breakfast the next day. That song came out of this stream of consciousness, right? And it was reflecting on, some difficult things that were going on in my life and things that I probably would have never written about, to be honest. And when I wrote it, I couldn't even sing it. Like, my voice wouldn't come out, oddly enough. And I don't know what that was about, but I just could not physically sing it. And that lasted for a long time, like maybe a year. And, but I made it through all that and recorded it.
You turned it into a stellar track is what you did. By the way, I noticed Andre's playing acoustic and electric guitars. Is this the Andre from Bell Sounds?
Yeah, that same Andre, who was an engineer in mixing and then doing some finishing layers on this whole record.
He's a killer engineer.
Oh, I know. Now he's working out of Cedar Creek Recording Studio because
Really?
Congress House closed down after this record. Just shortly after, they were no longer open. I'm so glad that I got in there to wrap this up with Mark Hallman and Andre, and Noelle sings on it along with Nicolette Good.
I noticed that. You got Nicolette under the
Yeah, she's on
credits.
this track. Yeah.
Very good. Let's jump into this song right now. This is an excellent track. The brand new album is Truth Is. Name of this track, Crumbling Down. This is Vanessa Lively.
Been awake at 3 a.m. so many nights. Alarm sound in my body, the fight or flight. I clench a rosary to quiet the mind. You're lying in my bed, but I can't find you. This fire, this flame is rising inside. I can't hold it down. Is this what it feels like when the walls come crumbling down? Is this what you'll be like each time I stand my ground? I'm drawing a line, I am not backing down. Lightning pulls me down, wraps itself around me, ignites a storm within, so I can see. I lie awake at night, heart beating loudly. My sorrow from your silence echoes through the house. This fire, this flame is rising inside. I can't hold it down. Is this what it feels like when the walls come crumbling down? Is this what you'll be like each time I stand my ground? I'm drawing a line, I am not backing down. Is this what it feels like when the walls come crumbling down? Is this what you'll be like each time I stand my ground? I'm drawing a line, I am not backing down.
Vanessa Lively, brand new music off the Truth Is album. Beautiful song, Crumbling Down. I'm going to get back to Natalie. Tell Me. We've got one more selection that was chosen for the compilation. ATX Gen Next Adventures in Person. Boy, that's quite a mouthful to tell
you
people.
are not wrong.
Again, I'm assuming that this track was recorded with Andre and Noelle as well.
It was not. Frenchie Smith was producing with Anar Peterson and Johnny Gowdy.
You know, I made notes when I was reviewing this. This could be a contemporary pop radio song for sure. I mean, it's ready to go. It's mixed, mastered, and the sound is very contemporary. It could definitely be a hit off the radio. I was particularly noticed the arrangement and everything was very today.
It started with Anar. Well, I was going to collaborate with Anar back in 2020 and ended up, my grandma passed and there's just a lot going on. And so he had mocked up this track then. And when I finally came back around, it was in December of 2021 when we were in the studio. And so that track he mocked up was the bass track for this album. And then we layered and tracked over it. And so it's been kind of in the works since 2020 when I started writing it, but it's taken a long, circuitous little path.
Yeah, I highly recommend trying to get this released as a single. It's very good.
Thank you.
Let's listen to this track right now. The name of this track is Tell Me, and it is released off the compilation CD, not off of one of yours. Natalie Price, Tell Me.
Tell me that you love me. Say it to me again. This is one of those days when I need it under my skin. When I need it under my skin. Under my skin. Tell me that you love me. Tell me once, shout it twice. Light up a flare, shoot it in the sky. Spell it out, I need a sign. Give me something I can't deny. I've been running on empty, searching for a spark. I got caught up in the city. Can you find me in the dark? Can you find me in the dark? 'Cause I'm in the dark. Tell me once, shout it twice. Light up a flare, shoot it in the sky. Spell it out, I need a sign. Give me something I can't deny. When I'm at my lowest low, drowning in what I don't know, will you hold me close and not let go? Don't let go. Don't let go. Don't let go. Tell me that you love me. Say it to me again. This is one of those days. Tell me once, shout it twice. Light up a flare, shoot it in the sky. Spell it out, I need a sign. Give me something that I can't deny. Tell me that you love me. Tell me that you love me. Tell me that you love me.
Natalie Price off the ATX Gen Next Adventures in Person compilation CD. Great track.
Thank you.
You had Lloyd, our engineer, nodding his head up and down. He was digging on that track. Great job.
Thank you.
We're going to move back to Vanessa. Vanessa, I've got this next track picked out, Oh Deliverance. This is a stripped down version. It sounds just like you and the acoustic guitar, and you need nothing else with this track. It's perfect. I don't know if the engineer or anyone recommended anything else, but it's stripped down and it's exactly what it needs to be. Tell the listening audience a little bit about this track.
Yeah, so this track was written in, I can't remember now if it was 2017 or 18, but as soon as the song was born and I wrote it, I took it over to Blue Rock, and I just did one recording of one song, and it was Oh Deliverance. And I made a video of the recording, which is online. So it's just me and guitar. And Billy Crockett mixed it, and, we mastered it right then and there. It was just all one and done, like one song completed in a couple hours.
Billy's a great engineer. He's a superb human being as well.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's been featured on Songwriter Studio. It's about time we get him back.
Yeah,
in
he
here
needs
as
to come
well.
back too. And so this song, was just a one-off in a way. And then I ended up building the record around it. but kept "Oh Deliverance" exactly in the original form of just me and my guitar, so it was recorded in a separate year and everything. And this particular song was one that I woke up in the night, and it was almost in its entirety in my mind. Like, sometimes I wake up with songs in my head that I know I'm writing, like, in my head. And I remember sneaking off to the bathroom because my kids were asleep, I was recording it, singing it into my iPhone on a voice memo. And then later that day, my phone died, and I lost all my songs. And I was like, well, I tried to retrieve it, and I couldn't find it, or I couldn't back it up in time. So I lost that song. But then the next night, the same thing happened, and I woke up with another song in my head, and I went and recorded it that time in the closet, and I sang it into the phone. And then I think a day later, I got a download of the previous backed up tracks, and I played the two side by side, and they were almost the exact identical song. And I was like, that's weird.
Wow.
That's super weird. And so then I was like, I got to pay attention to this song and go ahead and write it. And so I sat down at the piano. This song I wrote on piano. I wrote a number of these tracks on piano. Nicolette Good's piano, to be honest. I'm babysitting it, piano sitting. And I wrote this on her childhood piano. And I'm not a piano player, but I have loved just exploring songwriting on the piano. So that was the story of "Oh Deliverance."
Let's listen to that track right now. "Oh Deliverance," brand new music from Vanessa Lively. The name of the album, Truth Is.
I am not broken, I am not lost. I'm just trying to let go and embrace the fall. There is a stillness, there is a peace that would come and fill my chest if I could just release. This long unending road has got me worn. I feel tired and alone, I feel torn. Oh, deliverance, sweet deliverance, you've got me. Oh, deliverance, sweet deliverance, I fall into your loving arms and find relief. I am here now, laying down my load, sitting at your feet, asking you to hold me. This burden's heavy, and I need relief. Won't you help me find my way? I will just believe. This long unending road has got me worn. I feel tired and alone, I feel torn. Oh, deliverance, sweet deliverance, you have got me. Oh, deliverance, sweet deliverance, I fall into your loving arms and find relief. I fall into your loving arms and find relief. Yes, I fall into your loving arms and find relief.
"Oh Deliverance," brand new music, Vanessa Lively, off Truth Is. Vanessa, where can they get a copy of the new record? Do you stream these? I know you're going to have the hard copies at your gigs.
Right, I will be taking copies with me all over the place whenever I play. They are for sale online at, I believe they can get them at CD Baby, and then Amazon.com, and, digitally on all the places that music is available, including Spotify streaming. I intend to put it up on Bandcamp so that I could try to make a little bit of money back when people buy it. That's one of the only places that artists actually make anything.
And a lot of artists are going back to Bandcamp now as well.
Oh, yes. Because we actually get paid through
Or
Bandcamp
you can
nicely,
show up
yeah.
at the gig and get what I prefer, the hard copy.
I know. It's got artwork, lyrics. I mean, I tried to make it more like a little book so that it was something tangible. Even if people don't have a CD player, they could have a copy of the lyrics and the artwork.
Great cover.
Thank you.
If you're just tuning in to Songwriter Studio, Vanessa Lively, Natalie Price are my guests this afternoon, and they are kicking off their a little short tour. And then when you get back to Austin again, Vanessa, you'll be heading out for a little bit longer tour after this. So
Right.
go to the websites, check your schedule, see where you might be playing. If they're coming to your town, go out and see them. As usual, we try to let the listening and audience know weekly. KPFT has been on the air for 52 years. We are 100% listener-sponsored, no commercials. We are here available 24/7 and have been for 52 years. Songwriter Studio has been bringing you independent artists for 15 years. And we ask you, if you like what you hear, go to the kpft.org website, hit that tip jar, throw some money our way, keep us on the air another 52 years. We're going to move on. The next track we've got selected, Natalie Price, off of the album. And we haven't really introduced the album, Through the Fog, yet. This is a release you just released a couple of years ago. You've got another one in the can that's about to come out, you said, in about 6-7 months.
Yes.
Well, let's go back to this album that I have in my hand right now, Through the Fog. This is actually an EP, 5 tracks, all excellent.
Thank
My
you.
compliments. There's not a bad song on here. And we've got track number 1 queued up right now, These Days. Let the listening audience know a little bit about this track.
These Days ended up being the one. I wrote it like the week before I went into the studio, and there's a little miscommunication with the producer. The 5 tracks I thought were going to be on were not the same 5 tracks he thought were going to be on. And we went back and forth, and suddenly we had an open spot, and I sent him maybe 12, songs in the works, and he's like, oh, that one for sure. And I hadn't even finished it yet, but I had started writing it the week before and had the melody and chord progression and everything in place. And I ended up rewriting most of the song the last night I was in studio and then recording it the next day. But it is, they're all my favorites or they wouldn't be on there, but that has a special place in my heart specifically.
It's one of my favorites off the record for sure. Now tell me how to pronounce Fred's last name. Is he doing the lead solo in this particular track?
Fred is doing all the percussion, and Jacob Hildebrand's doing all of the lead guitar work.
Okay. Yeah, Jacob does a killer
He's
solo
great.
on this song.
Anytime you think you're hearing a violin, it's really Jacob on guitar. Just like, wow, he's getting these amazing sounds out of the guitar.
And one of the things I liked about this track is the groove.
Oh, sweet.
It's got a steady, deep groove. Let's listen to this track right now. These Days, off of the album Through the Fog. This is Natalie Price.
I'm so glad I wasn't younger when we met. Might have tried harder, I might have stayed longer. We'd have more regret. Sometimes, honey, I still wonder why I stayed. Jealousy, heaviness, strangle me, a songbird in a cage. will come to mind. But it's not like it was when you'd cross it infinite times. Maybe it's better we try to love each other than we say goodbye. 'Cause I learned to spot a toxic love like you got before they get me high these days. These days. These days. These days.
Natalie Price, These Days, from the Through the Fog release. Beautiful song, real steady groove. I really like the tempo. It's different from everything else.
Thank you.
Moving back to Vanessa. Vanessa, I've got the next track queued up here, but I want you to tell the listening audience a little bit about your nonprofit foundation, Home Sweet Music.
Yeah, so Home Street is something that I started in 2017. I entered a songwriting contest with an organization called Music to Life, and this was started by Noel Paul Stuckey of Peter, Paul, and Mary, and his daughter, Liz. They started this nonprofit that activates artists that are change makers in their community and have activist hearts, trying to work within social justice and that type of work. And so I submitted a song that was for Standing Rock and ended up receiving a grant, a $5,000 grant from, winning that competition, and performed my song in front of many people in this beautiful theater in Ventura, California, and then was asked to get up in front of them and talk to them about my project I was going to go home and start. And I had this funny moment of like, oh, right. I just sort of I answered a question where they said, what would you do if you could do anything in your community, like a social justice project? What would it be? And I just answered right then and there. I hadn't, thought of this in advance or anything. I thought, I really love art from the streets. And this is an organization that brings people in from off the streets and gives them studio space to paint. And I thought, how cool would it be to have something similar, like a sister program that is involved with music. And I hadn't done any homework to see if this existed already, but I was crossing my fingers like, well, I guess, hopefully it doesn't exist and I can go work on that and start it or at least get involved. And so I, talked about my project, and as soon as I flew back home to Austin, I just hit the ground running and started meeting with people. That was in the late summer. And by November, I had a pilot program running in Austin for Home Street Music, and we hold music circles at Community First Village in East Austin, and it's been running now for 5 years, and it's truly a life-changing program, and it's something that I'm so proud of and so excited to be a part of, and I feel in awe of the work that's getting done, that I just witness it.
And this is focused toward the homeless population?
Yes, sorry to not mention that vital part, that people that have experienced chronic homelessness are the participants in our music circle. And I formulated this program that we basically sit in a song circle together, and there's a flow that we go by. We sing a song called the Gathering Song every week. And then we embark in, some jam songs just to get on the same page and start to warm up musically. And then we have a share round, which is going around the circle and people sharing poetry or songs or whatever. And then we have an exercise that's musically based. And then we close the circle and do it all again the next week. And people have gone from completely closed off and shut down, many people, to now going out to poetry readings and sharing their poetry and writing prolifically, putting out books. We've got people that have recorded songs, folks that are getting paid to gig now, and they're just being inspired. They're being inspired through this program, and then they report back that they owe their life, and say that Home Street has saved their life. And it's just it's so beautiful to hear this feedback over and over and over again. And I just feel like I'm in awe of watching how music can bring people together like that.
That's great. I'm glad you're doing this. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the next track we have queued up, Running with Wolves. I see you brought Durgie Childs back in to do some killer cello work on this. Tell the listening audience a little bit about this track.
I wrote this song on an upright bass, another instrument I don't technically play. I tend to like to play with instruments, like in the typical sense of playing. And so I saw my friend Talisha Williams. She's in a band called Wild Ponies. They're based in Nashville, Tennessee. And I saw her upright bass over in the corner of her room and was just like magnetically drawn to it and asked her if I could just play around on it. And we were at a women's songwriting retreat. And so I walked over to the bass and I wrote Running with Wolves. And I had just barely opened up the book Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is about the wild woman archetype. And I only read a few pages and had some stuff come up from my own past and memories. And I felt really, I didn't read much, but I felt so inspired to write a song based on even just the few words that I read. And so I wrote Running with Wolves. And then later, I've now read the book a number of times. It's beautiful. I feel like I kind of pulled the essence of the wild woman archetype into the song.
Very cool. Brand new music, Vanessa Lively, Truth Is, the name of this track, Running with Wolves.
In the wild we are free, women and mothers choosing to be, tracing lines of history, carving out a path amid the trees. Running with wolves, the stories we tell come from a long line of women birthed in the well. We hear the whispers, the wild God within. We share this truth, our voice we lend. All these songs come from the banks of the water, the wind as it hums, and the spirit runs all along our spine, pulsing like a drum. Running with wolves, the stories we tell come from a long line of women birthed in the well. We hear the whispers, the wild God within. We share this truth, our voice we lend. We hold the truth that's buried inside. Truth is universal, this voice is our own. We all release the tears we have cried. Truth is universal, this voice is our own. We will return as daughters to light. Truth is universal, this voice is our own. And we call the wild our home.
Running with Wolves, brand new music, Vanessa Lively off Truth Is. What a haunting track.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, we're running a little short on time. First of all, I'd like to thank you both for coming into the studios here at Songbrush and enjoying almost an hour with us here and just enjoyed the heck out of the songs and the interview. Why don't you both give the listening audience heads up on your website where they can contact you to check your schedules and your order CDs. Natalie, go ahead.
All right. Also, thank you for having me. natpricemusic.com will have most of what everyone's looking for. On all the social media sites, my handle is at natpricemusic, and you can buy CDs there. I'm also on Bandcamp as well, but it's really easy to find everything from Nat Price Music.
come January or February, they'll be able to order a copy of the brand new album that's set to come out. Is that correct?
Yep, that's the plan right now.
Vanessa, contact information website.
Yeah, VanessaLively.com. And then I am also online at all the social media spaces. It's almost always just Vanessa Lively or Vanessa Lively Music.
Schedule's on there as well. You'll by the time this airs, your extended tour will begin.
Yeah, I have my show calendar on my website. It's always up to date. And then I also have an email newsletter and a Patreon page. And so people can kind of stay connected in these various ways. And I've been really excited about having a lot of ways to stay in touch with people and really share the journey along the way.
Unfortunately, you're playing tonight at Hop's House, and by the time this airs, it will be past. But big shout out to Pam and Jim out there for keeping the Songwriter venue open for these people, especially that coming through Austin and various other cities.
It's such a special night. And if anyone's in outer space, they can, catch the show later, because that's what happens, right? Doesn't it like send out into the airwaves and stay there forever?
Well,
Something like
Songwriter Studio does. We have the YouTube channel. So
awesome.
You will be archived. If you missed this show, you can go to kpft.org. For the next 14 days, you can listen to the show. So, and we are also set up as a podcast as well.
Awesome.
A couple shows coming up we want to let the listening audience know about before we leave. Let's look at July 9th. At the Johnson House Concert Studios down in Galveston, our good friend Brian Kalanick will be playing. And August 27th, Richard Paul Thomas will be available at the Johnson House Concert Series. Our friends up at Main Street Crossing. This coming July 7th, Mickey and the Motor Cars. If you've not seen them, we just caught that show at the Kerrville Music Festival. Mickey and Gary Braun of the Braun Brothers, just killer band. Get out there to Main Street Crossing and see Mickey and the Motor Cars on July 7th. Right after that, one of my favorite live performers, Monty Montgomery, will be performing at Main Street on July 27th. So please catch one of these. Keep this live music alive here in the Houston area. Thanks again to Lloyd, every week doing what he does best behind the controls, and just a superb human being. We're going to go out with Bones in the Dirt. Natalie, tell the listening audience a little bit about this track.
This is one of those songs that was kind of the lightning bolt, wrote it in 30 minutes type song. And after a long day of trying to write a number of other songs that were all horrible, and I had a deadline, and I was trying to write in the style of Hank Williams, and it came out like a Johnny Cash. And I wasn't sad about it. And then I liked it so much that I kept it, and it ended up on the album.
Let's listen to that track right now. Again, thank you, girls, for coming into the KPFT studios for this interview.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Natalie Price from Through the Fog. This is Bones in the Dirt. Stick around. Up next, Irish Airs, followed by our friends at the Bluegrass Depot. See you next week on Songwriter Studio.
Tomorrow steals what once was today's. The blessings that you once gave you now take. Now there's a void like an empty quiver. You showed me that I love the gift, not the giver. Oh, how this heart has failed me again. I've fallen into a terrible sin. I've been asleep when I should be awake, pretending I'm good for my very own sake. 'Cause I love the things of this earth, things that decay like bones in the dirt. It's clear you're set on setting me free. I can only be saved with faith, you saving me. I can only be saved with faith, you saving me. a promise you'll carry on, freeing your children.